As we get older, we often expect that being close to our children will bring comfort. But sometimes that closeness starts to feel one-sided. Maybe you've shown up with love but left feeling invisible or even unwanted. I've seen this a lot in my work. In this video, I'll share a few heartfelt insights and gentle tips that can help you feel respected again and protect the peace you've earned in this stage of life. Let me start with something I hear more often than, "You'd think, I just dropped by to say hi, and they looked annoyed." And I get it, you raised them, you love them. But here's the thing, most grown kids have busy lives filled with their own pressures, schedules, and stress. When we show up unannounced, even with the best intentions, it can feel more like a surprise test than a warm visit. You might not mean to interrupt, but that's how it can come across. And over time, these tiny moments of discomfort add up, quietly chipping away at the closeness you want to protect. I remember one woman I worked with. Her name was Barbara, 72, from Michigan. She loved visiting her daughter's home every couple of weeks, always bringing over cookies and stories, but she never called ahead. One day, her daughter opened the door and didn't even smile. "Mom, it's not a good time," she said softly. Barbara was crushed. "I thought I was being loving," she told me, "but now I feel like a burden." It wasn't about love. It was about timing. After that, we talked about ways to stay connected without feeling rejected. It started with just one small change. What helps in situations like this is something very simple. Always give a quick call or text before you plan to visit. Ask, "Hey, is now a good time?" You'd be surprised how much warmer the welcome feels when your visit is expected and wanted. It's not about distance, it's about respect. You deserve to be welcomed with open arms, not sighs or forced smiles. By honoring their time, you're also honoring your own presence. It's not about being less involved. It's about being more valued when you are. Now here's something that comes up a lot in conversations with older parents. "I just want the best for them, so I tell them what they're doing wrong." It comes from love, I know that. But the truth is, adults don't take advice the same way they did when they were kids. What we think is helpful can sound like judgment. Criticism, even well-meaning, can close doors. As we age, it's easy to forget that our children need space to grow their own way. Constant reminders, corrections, or comparisons can make them feel like nothing they do is good enough, and that creates distance, not closeness. One of my clients, Thomas, 75, from Phoenix, told me he didn't understand why his daughter stopped calling as often. He always gave her advice about raising the kids, how she decorated the house, even what she should wear to work. "I'm just trying to help," he said. But she told him it felt like she could never measure up. That hurt. And it wasn't until he backed off and started just listening more that things began to heal. Their phone calls slowly became warmer. She began to share more. He told me, "When I stopped fixing, I started connecting." One of the most effective things I've seen is this. Instead of giving advice, ask questions. Say things like, "How are you feeling about that?" Or, "What do you think you'll do next?" Showing curiosity instead of critique builds trust. And trust is what keeps grown children close. You're not losing your place in their lives. You're learning to stand beside them, not above them. Even when you don't agree, your quiet presence, your listening ear, your calm support, those are the things they'll remember and cherish. Here's another one I've seen many times. "If I help enough, maybe they'll want me around more." It sounds sweet, even selfless. But overgiving, especially when it's not asked for, can quietly build resentment on both sides. You might think you're being helpful, but if your child didn't ask for help, it might feel more like control. And if you keep doing things hoping for appreciation that doesn't come, that pain grows. Giving to be needed is different than giving from love. One wears you down, the other lifts both of you up. Let me tell you about Lorraine, 66, from Georgia. She loved cooking, so every time she visited her son, she brought meals, cleaned the kitchen, and reorganized the pantry. "I thought I was making things easier," she told me. But one day her daughter-in-law gently said, "Lorraine, I appreciate it, but this is our space." That moment broke her heart. She felt embarrassed and unappreciated. But with time, she realized it wasn't rejection. It was about boundaries. Now she asks before doing anything. Sometimes they say yes, sometimes no, but she feels more respected and they feel heard. One of the simplest shifts is to ask first, would it help if I did X? Or, do you want me to bring anything? And if they say no, believe them. Helping isn't always doing. Sometimes it's just being there without fixing or offering too much. You are already enough, just by being present. You don't have to earn your place in anyone's life. When you stop trying to prove your value, people start seeing it more clearly. Here's something many older parents won't say out loud, but I know they feel it deep down. Why don't they say thank you anymore? You give your time, your money, your energy, sometimes even when it stretches you thin, and yet the appreciation feels while missing. That silence can hurt. But the truth is, when we give with expectation, even silently, we set ourselves up for disappointment. And over time, that quiet hope for gratitude can turn into bitterness. Not because you did too much, but because you gave more than you could emotionally afford. I remember talking with Frank, 74, from Illinois. He helped his daughter buy her first home. It was a huge gesture, tens of thousands of dollars. But months went by and she never brought it up again. I just wanted to thank you, he told me. That lack of acknowledgement sat like a stone in his chest. When I asked if he ever told her how he felt, he said, no. I didn't want to make her feel guilty. That moment showed me how often love turns into quiet pain when it's not spoken about or returned the way we expect. What often helps is deciding before you give whether you're okay receiving nothing back. If the answer is no, pause. It's better to give less with peace in your heart than to give more and carry resentment. And if you do give, let it go. You did it because you cared, not because you were buying gratitude. Your kindness is powerful. But it should never come at the cost of your peace. You deserve to give from overflow, not from emptiness. Let your giving be light, not a hidden weight on your chest. Let's talk about something that quietly creeps in when we're not looking. The slow fading of our own lives. It often starts with good intentions, wanting to be closer to the kids, helping with the grandkids, maybe even moving nearby. But over time, you may notice your own routines disappear. Your hobbies, your friendships, your sense of independence, they shrink. And before you know it, you're sitting by the phone, waiting to be invited. That feeling of living on someone else's schedule is not just lonely, it's a loss of self. I once worked with Anita, 67, from Oregon. She moved to be closer to her son's family after retiring. I thought I'd see them all the time, she said. But her son worked long hours, and the grandkids were busy with school and activities. Weeks would go by with just a few short visits. Anita started feeling invisible. I built my life around them, and now I don't know what to do with myself, she told me. That's when we started rebuilding her world just for her. A book club, a part-time art class, some volunteer work. Within months, her voice had more energy. She felt like herself again. One of the best ways to keep your spirit alive is to build a life that's yours. Join a local group, explore a new interest, reconnect with an old friend. Create a reason to wake up excited, even if nobody calls that day. You're not meant to fade into the background of someone else's life. You still have chapters to write, and they belong to you. The more fulfilled you feel on your own, the more others are drawn to your light. Here's something that shows up quietly in the way we talk. They don't care about me anymore. It often slips out during moments of sadness or silence. And while the feeling behind it is real, I've learned over the years that constantly framing ourselves as victims, whether out loud or in our own minds, can push people further away. When we present ourselves only as the ones who've been forgotten, ignored, or mistreated, we sometimes forget the power we still have to shape the present. I once met Harold, 73, from Pennsylvania. He often told friends and neighbors that his kids had abandoned him. But when I sat with him and listened closely, I realized they hadn't vanished, they were just living. They called, though not every day. They visited, but not every week. What Harold really felt was loneliness. And instead of saying, I miss them, he said, they don't care. We talked about that difference. Slowly, he began reaching out, not with guilt or complaints, but with genuine interest. He'd send a photo, a memory, a funny article. And guess what? They started responding more. What often makes a difference is how you tell your story, to yourself and others. Instead of repeating what's missing, try naming what you want. I'd love to talk more. I miss seeing you. These open hearts instead of closing doors. You're not powerless. Even in quiet moments, your voice matters. You can still ask, invite, express without shame. You're not a burden, you're a bridge. And you deserve connection built on honesty, not silence. Something I always tell people in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, don't let your world get too small. It's easy to fall into the routine of staying home, watching TV, waiting for the phone to ring. You might start thinking, what do I have left to offer? But here's the truth I've learned over and over again. The more curious, active, and engaged you stay, the more you're seen. Not just as someone's parent or grandparent, but as someone full of life. And when people see that spark in you, they naturally want to stay close. I remember Linda, 70, from Florida. She told me she felt like a shadow in her children's lives. They talk to me, but I can tell they're distracted, she said. One day, on a whim, she signed up for a local photography class. At first it felt silly, but then something shifted. She started sharing her photos online, even got a little camera she took everywhere. Suddenly she had stories to tell, not just about the past, but about what she was learning right now. Her kids noticed. "You're more fun to talk to now," her son said with a smile. That simple shift made her feel seen again. One of the most refreshing things you can do is start something new. Try a gentle yoga class, learn to play a simple instrument, join a local storytelling group. You don't have to be great at it. You just have to enjoy it. You're allowed to grow even now. You're allowed to be interesting, to surprise people, even to surprise yourself. Staying curious keeps your light on, and that light draws people back to you. If even one of these thoughts touch something in you today, I hope you carry it gently. You're not alone in what you feel, and you're not wrong for wanting respect, peace, or closeness. Just remember, small shifts in how you show up can lead to deeper connections. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and if this helped, go ahead and subscribe. You deserve kindness always. You're stronger than you think, and your story still matters so much.